Hey everyone, and welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. Today we're going to talk about shows that we've lost. Oh, so sad. I'm going to ask Bro to even Hulu and the return of Orange is the New Black. Stick around, you don't want to miss it.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hey everyone, and welcome. It's the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. I'm Drew, your host, and I want to get kicked off here. I've been talking about some premieres, talking about some new shows coming up, but I haven't really glazed over or talked about the shows that you may be asking, hey, where's this? Because they didn't quite make it. Is this a natural thing? It happens. Some will get notice that it's ending before a season starts so they can get time to sort of wrap things up. That's what really happens when the shows don't get renewed, as opposed to getting canceled, where you do it, you finish a season, then all of a sudden, hey, we're done. So it really depends. Some shows are allowed to sort of finish up, and some just get cut off at the head. So you're looking at, coming from the major networks here on ABC, Nashville. It was on for 4 seasons. That one is being canceled or not renewed. Agent Carter was only on for a couple seasons, following the adventures of Peggy Carter through the 1950s and 60s. Because we already kind of see with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being on there, and maybe Carter would have been more meant for the Netflix round of shows, possibly, but we ultimately see that end that just happened in Captain America Civil War. So that's gone. Castle, that's a big one. 8 seasons, going to be the ultimate end for that one. There was talks of it continuing, even though Stana Katic was going to leave the show. Considering the show is his namesake, not hers, they were talking about possibly keep going on with it, but then they just decided no. And the Muppets, they tried to return with the Muppets, and it was only on 1 season. That's not coming back. Mike and Molly is getting unrenewed or canceled, probably more at the request of Melissa McCarthy. Her film career is taking off. I don't think she'd be able to really balance the world and making all those movies as well as her sitcom. So that's gone. The Current Wife, or The Good Wife, is going to end after its current season. Person of Interest, that finale is about to occur here in this week. That's going to be gone. 5 seasons. They tried that new CSI Cyber. That's not working. Kept that off. And Limitless, which was the adaptation from the film starring Bradley Cooper, they're not going to continue on with that one. So if you were enjoying Limitless, looks like you only get that one or the movie. NBC, a lot of these. Poor Undateable. I watched it with my wife. It's a very, very classic sitcom style. They're not going to do that one. Most of these shows that are getting cut off, so like Telenova, Game of Silence, Crowded, are shows you never heard before anyway. The CW's Beauty and the Beast show, that's also going away. It was survived 4 seasons. Girls is finally getting canceled on HBO. It's more of just the show is just ending. They're not going to continue like, hey, we're just done with the show. Rizzoli and Isles. So this is going to be its last season that's premiering here soon. This is going to be it for that one. But that was, 7 seasons. It's been on. Royal Pains on USA is going away. That one was on, let's see, that one went 8 seasons as well. More being swallowed up. Looks like Mr. Robot's going to be the one carrying that. On Showtime, House of Lies, Don Cheadle's show, along with Kristen Bell, that's going to end. Looks like it's getting that 5th season, then going away. So, yeah, we're getting a lot of shows that you may have... A lot of shows, that we're only given that 1 season or maybe even a half season. When you're looking at shows like Rizzoli and Isles, which is, a procedural... Castle, a procedural, CSI Cyber is somewhat a procedural, but those kind of shows that have been around for, at least half a decade, even if the format's somewhat familiar, it's maybe getting tired, but in general these days, if you've been on the air for about 7 or 8 seasons, it's hard to keep interest in a show going for that long. So shows like Law and Order being a procedural, or Law and Order SVU, that those shows that just continue on year after year after year and maintain somewhat of a bit of a popularity based on there. But ultimately, the networks are going to try, they want something that's new and fresh that's going to grab a new audience, because there are so many procedural shows out there, so many procedural crime dramas that you have to kind of pick which one you want to stick with, and then it just gets tired, just really tired after a while. So that's going away. House of Lies being one of those that I watched a couple episodes, tried to get into it, which is nothing against Don Cheadle. Maybe it's just the format of the show and the stuff they do with it. It's almost reminds me of like Saved by the Bell and just how they do stuff. Wasn't really into that one. Royal Pains, I'm honestly surprised lasted 8 seasons. I didn't think that one was going to go a couple. And it's a comedy dramedy, with this guy helping rich people. I don't know. It's just, that one was tough. I heard good things about Mr. Robot. That's starting up here soon. Girls, never really got into it. But again, that's not really necessarily cancellation. That's just the show running its course. And, timed it well. It wasn't really an expensive show to do. So that one's going on. The Beauty and the Beast, 4 seasons. Now, they did do... There was an old one with Linda Hamilton. I think it was just a film, though. It was like her and Ron Perlman. The idea of making this a show for 4 seasons is pretty interesting. But it's the only one on CW that's going away, and they're adding Supergirl here in the off season. And from NBC, man, it's just the hits just keep on coming. Look at these. So Undateable, a show that's going off. That was in 3 years. So Telenova, first year, canceled. Game of Silence, this website that's video, it says The Freshman Drama, only 1 year. Crowded, it's a mid-season, so didn't even really go one full. No, done. Heartbeat, 1 season. So you got 4 shows on NBC. Didn't even make it out of the first season, and Undateable, unfortunately, not going into the 4th. Now, it's not uncommon. A lot of the shows just only last 1 season. But when you look at the other ones, so you got if you look at CBS's slate that's going off. Angel from Hell, only had a few episodes because it had a delayed start, so that couldn't have been mid. But Mike and Molly's been on for a while. Good Wife's been on for a while. Person of Interest has been on for a while. CSI Cyber was at least got 2 years, but Rush Hour and Limitless only 1 season. So you got a lot of these shows from other networks that, while they're not going for really that long of a longevity, a lot of shows that are going 9 or 10 years anymore, like Frasier or Seinfeld or Friends, that are not lasting long. NBC's still just really taking a hit. The amount of hits on that show, I don't even know if you can count. You can count on one hand, I'm pretty sure in that case. And if you look at ABC, which didn't have a lot of things for quite a while, Nashville was on for 4 years. And, Agent Carter got 2. But, The Muppets, that was on for a season. So they don't have a lot of shows going off. They're doing pretty well. ABC and CBS are really coming back and have come back here in the last 10 years. And NBC is just constantly sinking. And they've put on some good shows. They've had some shows that have been really interesting and really cool that they just got rid of. And maybe time slots, who knows? But they just, 4 or 5 shows is gone after one season. And then, I mean, you look at something like, Fox doesn't even have anything listed on here that I can say. I'm pretty sure Fox is going to, get going. So they don't have a lot. And if we look at it by comparison, so those are the shows that are leaving. Let's take NBC, for example. I mean, CW's got tons of shows that are sticking around. They're doing pretty insane. CBS, NBC. So SVU, snooze, 18 years. Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and Chicago PD. Those are all staying around. Chicago Med for second season, Chicago Fire and Chicago PD 4 and 5. Blind Spot, don't know. Shades of Blue. Superstore is actually kind of fun and funny. And then Grimm for season 6. So almost just as many shows going off as there is coming on. So it's tough for NBC. Very tough for them as ABC and CBS has continued to steamroll. So that's what we got going on here. That's what's coming off that are the bigger names that are coming. That concludes our first segment. We're going to come back here next, talk about Hulu. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hey, we are back. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. In the next in our ongoing series, you would have thought I would have started with something like this, but I wanted to give some introductions to some formats and some technologies that maybe people weren't so familiar with. But now we're going to move on to one of the titans of internet streaming movie and TV content, and that is Hulu. If you remember, Hulu was really the first, if not one of the first, if not the first, to advertise its services on TV. You remember the Alec Baldwin-led commercials about Hulu advertising the ability to watch television through the internet on the website. Now, when I remember when it first got going, there weren't a lot of episodes of things that you could get. You can watch clips of things, and the amount of stuff that was available as far as episode-wise to watch was fairly limited. It has since grown. Now, the free version, you could just watch clips and other stuff like that, and if you wanted to get episodes of stuff, you had to subscribe. The free versions of anything had a bunch of commercials, and then they came up with tiers. So they have the limited commercials, which is like $7.99 a month, and then you can go up to the next tier, which was $4, I think it's $11.99 a month, and get no commercials. So they offered you the ability to watch something, hey, for a little less, but you got to deal with a couple ads, or you can go full-blown ad-free and watch your television programs that way. And the partners that have gotten into bed with Hulu regarding their content, it's just exploded. Now, if you just wait literally the next day after something airs, they'll put it on Hulu, and you can watch the episode. And sometimes they'll put whole seasons on there. I'm excited because Rick and Morty season 2, that's going to be released. The entire season is going to be put on Hulu here in the next few weeks. And so some will do it like that, and some will just do that as it airs, go straight onto there. It has blown up. Now there's some networks that don't take part, but most of them do. It's a service that has grown immensely. I would say even more than something like Netflix, just in the span of the last 10 years. And that's saying something, because Netflix is huge. But Hulu going from what it was when I first hopped on, I'm like, okay, I don't really see this taking off, to the ability now to like, oh, that show that they just aired that and now we can watch it. And so many. Now, as far as the movies that they offer, not always the greatest selection. And sometimes with Netflix, it can get into looking like the bottom of the barrel. And Hulu does that a lot. Like, not a lot of big titles that are coming out on Hulu. But I mean, it's not. Most of the people that are watching Hulu are doing it for the experience of watching TV. So they have this service, and again, it's just a website. It's not. I mean, you can get the application and everything. So there's no particular format that they don't have on there. I mean, you can get it on, PS3, even Xbox 360, PS4, on Android and Apple formats. And what they offer you there, it's pretty consistent. And we talked about Crackle in an earlier episode, and there were a lot of problems as far as, the service stalling or the service freezing or canceling out or anything else. Hulu's pretty consistent. The one annoying thing that I find about Hulu is we watch it on my wife's account, and she has the $7.99 limited commercials. So in Hulu, where they come to the commercial break, they'll start the commercial before that segment is over. And then when they come back from the commercial, they play like that last second or two that would have led into a commercial had it been on regular TV. And that's really just the only quibble that I had, because it gets kind of annoying when you're binge watching shows, like The 100, or if you're checking out a series that you're maybe a little bit behind on, and you want to catch up. So that can get a little annoying. But I suppose if we decided to bump up a little bit, maybe $11.99, wink wink hun, we wouldn't even have to worry about that. So there would be no interruptions or anything like that. But if you're looking to get a bunch of content, TV wise, and just, I mean, you're going to pay for the immediate availability, as opposed to something like Crackle that mostly just does shows that have come and gone. Hulu can get you new shows and able to watch for a very low premium per month. I mean, $7.99 with limited commercials is still going to be better than the $30 to $40 you might pay for cable. So it has its own programming. I mean, really everybody's running their own programming. Hulu has theirs. They just have this new vehicle called The Path, with good old Jesse from Breaking Bad on there. And I mean, they're showing everything. I mean, Empire's on there. You can get old episodes of Seinfeld. Let's see here. You can get a Showtime add-on as well. See, Showtime's really just like, hey, we're gonna go everywhere, and you can go up and down in plans too. So if you're in something like you got the $11.99, and then something's getting tight, maybe you can't spare that extra $4, you can go down. You can also, with your account, watch on multiple devices as well. So they allow you a lot. You can get HD available as well. And again, not all, but most networks that are participating in having their content viewed on Hulu the following day. So before, where it was you just kind of have to see what's in the library and they'll eventually put something on there. now you can get it in just a short 24 hours later. So, and again, it's the effort to keep piracy low, and the acknowledgement that this is now the new medium in which people are going to consume film and television, that these companies that would have otherwise been hesitant and far removed from being on board and helping these internet content providers, they're jumping on the bandwagon because they know it doesn't cost that much. Yeah, I mean, it's a basic subscription with limited commercials is $7.99, and then you can have the $11.99 package, but and it may not give much to those networks, but hey, that's a little bit of money as opposed to all of those episodes that are going to get otherwise pirated. And it allows people that maybe don't want to pirate, but also don't want to pay for cable or satellite to still be able to watch your show. I mean, they want to do it honestly, but they don't have the outrageous money to spend. So when you're looking at these people like college students that are really just working on internet, don't really have the capability of watching stuff on TV itself all the time, they're on the go, they're using data, they're like, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to give these people, these kind of customers, the potential platform to watch their content. So again, Hulu has expanded immensely in the amount of time that it's been out and it's been advertised. The future of television is here. I agree with you, Alec. Pretty much just only on that. Other personal politics aside, no. But it's a juggernaut. It's only going to get. I mean, I imagine there'll be some type of deal. Hulu will end up fusing with something like Google. It's bound to happen at some point. But yeah. So if you don't have Hulu, I would definitely check it out. I mean, if you're still just sitting there attached to your cable and attached to your satellite, but if you can find these programs that you normally watch on there, go ahead and give it a shot. Help you save some money and still be able to enjoy that. You just may have to watch it a day later. All right, so that concludes the segment. When we come back, Netflix's sensation Orange is the New Black returns for Season 4. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. It is June, and therefore it is time for a new season of Orange is the New Black. It is a Netflix original. You won't be able to find it on any other type of network. It's a groundbreaking show, really just as to say that the first one that broke it big coming from Netflix. And we had seen other providers, HBO making its own television shows, and Showtime was making their own, and Starz was making their own. And then here comes Netflix, another premium type service that originally was just showing previously made television shows and films, and then they started producing their own content. So we saw Orange is the New Black come out and hit it really big, and then House of Cards, and then now it's just a titan of both film and television, producing their own films as well as their own television shows, when previously they would just produce a stand-up special. So they came out, Orange is the New Black. This will be look, it's already come out, so it's already, season 4 is already up. If you're listening to this, season 4 is already up. And so coming into this, really what we saw by season 3. I'm not going to go through an entire rundown of what's happened from the beginning of the pilot till now, but what we last saw, Tasty, Suzanne, and the gang stopped Brooke from overdosing. That occurred. Piper, who's really kind of fallen by the wayside to some of the more interesting prisoners, ended up finding out that Stella was stealing some of her money because she was running her own panty business inside. So Piper just comes back and tries to just destroy her life and gets her sent to a maximum security prison. That's nice. That's humane for stealing that money. Black Cindy's converted to Judaism. That's a new thing. That's what's going on. We don't know what happened with Alex. That was sort of left in this sort of Jon Snow. I mean, we don't say you got stabbed or anything, but we don't know what happened with her. So, we'll see what happens with everything. And we saw that the construction crew was going through and converting the beds into bunks because the prison is itself expanding. So that obviously is just telling you they're leaving the door right open to a lot of new characters that are going to come into the show. I mean, not that the show wasn't packed with a bunch of characters already, but we could be seeing, maybe some through some contractual obligations and whatnot, and with other cast members, we may see some of them leave. There may be people that are getting out. That does happen in prison sometimes. You can get out. And then we're going to see just, sort of a new fresh face. And the thing is, because Piper, who started out the show and eventually her story, because this show is based off a book that was written by a woman who was in prison for a year. So this has already gone past really what the book had, and it was Piper's story. But now, since the focus, at least in seasons 2 and 3, especially in 3, is moved towards other inmates, it can be an ongoing series that can just be about that life in the prison where you wouldn't need Piper as much, or to a certain point, you wouldn't need Piper at all in order to maintain the show. And you can introduce characters that maybe come from a similar circumstance as hers without having to have her. It's not like a show called Seinfeld. You can't do the show without a person named Seinfeld. You can't do Castle without the guy who's named Castle. But in Orange is the New Black, since it's a look at that prison system, or at least it was. Now, it's more television focused, the drama focus, that you can circulate characters en masse simply because of the nature of where they are, while keeping a few around. Obviously, the more hardened criminals are going to be there longer, logically, that you can bring in new folk and you can keep the cast fresh, and therefore, with those personalities and characters, keep the plot fresh. So it's a fairly ingenious setup as far as the ability to tell different stories with different characters, but not maintain or not lose the atmosphere of the show and the things that have made it great. So season 4, like I said, is already out at this point. I think it came out on the 16th. They've all premiered in June, usually early to mid-June. So I think it came out on the 16th. So one of the best things about Netflix is if a show comes out, you get all of the episodes. So drag. You can just take a weekend and just watch all of them. So nothing to be said about season 4. If you've already watched everything, you can go ahead and tell us about what's going on, or to say, hey, you may have been right about this, or we're wrong about it. So I'm just going off that because I'm a little behind on everything. But the show that is of this far, that's what we're looking at. So we're going to see the expansion. Some people may not have made it out. No, I don't think they would do. I don't think they're going to set something up with Alex to have season 4 start where she's just dead already. I think she'll be alive, may not be in the show that much after that, but I think they'll kind of do the flashback and show what happened. And just end a season of a show where nothing definitive happens, and then all of a sudden they're not there in the next season. That is unless, because of those contractual things, you kind of have to find a way to make something up. So I don't know if Laura Prepon's contract was some type of issue that needed to be ironed out, and they were going to put her in this position before they decide what they were going to do. But normally, for the sake of those things, if it's a season finale, you have to show the death or the step up to the death. You can't just make it uncertain and then come back and like, oh, no, she died. You can't do that. I mean, technically, yeah, you can. But as far as serving the audience and not making them immensely annoyed and angry about that, then that's probably not the best way to go. But we know what'll happen. Like I said, I think she'll be kicking around. So that is the drama-rama that was left off with, at least, not going through the entire season of season 3, but what was left off with. Coming into season 4, it's out. Orange is the New Black. Like I said, a pioneering show of really the first to get out there from these providers and make their own content, and then have it be of such quality that it is not only embraced by fans, but critical acclaim as well. So that's out. That's going to keep going on. Like I said, if they follow that format that I just suggested, where we keep pumping in characters, moving them out, that show can go on for almost as long as SVU. Hey, 18 years. Sweet Lord. All right. So that's what we had here today, folks. We talked a little about the shows that were gone. Poor NBC. Talked to you about Hulu. Hey, maybe you didn't know that stuff about Hulu. I have no idea. But hopefully you got a little bit of insight. Orange is the New Black is back. Go ahead and check it out. I don't do that abbreviation stuff because mostly I can't follow all the letters. But that is the show for this week. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed making it. You can check us out at gsmcpodcast.com or download us on iTunes. Download this as well as our other fine Golden State Media Concepts podcast programs. You can also follow us on Twitter and or Facebook. Feel free to yak at us. Let us know what you think and what you might want to listen to. Maybe start some discussion. We're all interested in that, okay? So I've been Drew. You've been great. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast, and this concludes our broadcast day.